Hey there, good morning, people. PTPOP here. It is 9:25 in the morning here in Cleveland, Ohio. I believe it's August 29th. And I ask you a question, can anybody do their jobs anymore? I'm dumbfounded. I'm almost without words of the lack of competence, the lack of enthusiasm, the lack of attention to detail. And I'll give you an example. I'm sitting here in my car with the Dan Wesson 357. It's a revolver. And my friend Dave, a guy I've known since 4th grade, served in the military, served in the Navy for 26 years as a submariner. He's agreed to buy the gun from me. He's a gun collector now. Good guy. But he's in Georgia, and I'm up in Ohio. And in order to sell a gun between states, you've got to go through an FFL, a federal firearms licensed person. So there's a gun store up here in Cleveland that I've done business with. You know, I'm not going to put say who they are, but there's a gun dealer, a well-known gun dealer that usually I buy most of my guns through Bud's Gun Shop. I think they're in Kentucky, and I have them mailed up to this store up here. So I call this guy at the gun shop and I say, hey, first I write them an email. I tried to figure out how to get a hold of them. I call their phone number. And I can't get anybody on the phone. It says, if this is about the sale of a firearm, call so-and-so. I'll call back and ask for so-and-so, Jim. We'll say his name is Jim. So I hang up the phone. The next day I call and ask for Jim. They're like, sorry, Jim's busy with someone else. I can help you. And so this guy is really unfriendly. And I've never sold a gun interstate. I've never sold a gun between states, and I want to make sure it's all done right legally. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. This guy's like, yeah. What do you want? You want to sell a gun? Okay, well, I said I need to talk to Brett. He goes, no, you don't. I can help you. And the guy is just like rude. And granted, we're dealing with guns here. Okay, we're not dealing with. This guy's not a brain surgeon. He doesn't have any diplomacy skills because he just sits in a gun shop all day long, I guess, and no one's ever taught him how to talk to somebody on the phone. So he's like, I can help you. And then it turns out I got to send the original guy I was dealing with. I've got to send him, hey, good morning there. I got to send him an email. So after this whole conversation, it turns out I've got to send an email to the original guy who he said I didn't need to talk to. So I send this guy an email with all the details I need. And then like 3 days go by. And I finally hear back from him. He goes, well, you've got to provide the name of the person you're sending it to, his email address, his phone number. You got to provide me the license, the FFT that you're mailing it to. And then when we get that all ironed out, you got to bring the gun in and we got to ship it. So today I log into their website, or I go to their website because I'm going to go to this gun store, which is around the corner from where I'm at now. And I'm going to go mail the gun because we got it all ironed out. We got it all legally registered and ready to go. So I look up their website. It says they open at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning, and it's now 9:30. So I jump in my little car, and I scoot up to this gun store. And I walk up to the door. I get there at 8 a.m. on the dot. No, I'm sorry. I got there at 9. I got there at 9 a.m. on the dot. The website says they open at 8 on Fridays. Get to the front of the store. They don't open until 10. Now, this is a business. This is a well-known gun store in the area. And I've got to wonder how they stay in business if they can't even keep track of the small details about, does the store operating hours in the front of the store posted on the door match what it says on the website? And if it doesn't, is this going to detract customers from coming back? Is it going to help me lose customers? Granted, it's just a gun store. But, you know, it just, and I know most people are baffled. They're completely baffled by websites and keeping track of them and updating them. So the people that run the store probably know nothing about the website, and they have to outsource it to some kid who goes to Cleveland State, and they just don't want to, have to pay him the money to update the website, so they just let it go. So I have to wait an hour to get into this gun store. So I jump in my car and I come over to 7 Bean Coffee. Yeah, it is TRG. It's the little details make you stand out. So I jump in my car and I come over here to get some coffee at 7 Bean, and there's like, how many lanes do they have? They've got 2 lanes. 2 lanes. It's just a drive-through coffee shop, which I think is a genius idea, by the way, because they don't have to pay for the overhead for a large dining room. But I get into the lane. The sweet young thing comes prancing up to my car with her little iPad, and she goes, "Hi, can I take your order?" And I was like, yeah. Give her my order for my large cafe mocha with whipped cream. She's like, "Okay, I'm not going to take your payment here. It'll be taken up at the window." So I drive around in my lane. I get up there, and another young lady asks me for my order, and I say, large cafe mocha. And she's like, I don't have that on my screen here. She must have sent it to the wrong lane. And again, this is not rocket science here at a coffee shop. It's far less complex than a gun store. This young lady's primary purpose in life, who took my initial order, her only reason to live for that moment was to take an order, take my name, and put it in the system, and make sure they took the order and put it in the correct lane from where my car was sitting. And she dropped the ball. No, I'm not going to crucify a woman for taking the order incorrectly, but it's a simple process. I wasn't yelling at her. I wasn't being mean to her. I just, So this barista who told me it was in the wrong lane, she was about to take my payment, she had to run over to the cashier window 2 lanes over and find my order. She made it right. But can anybody do anything right? It's a very strange world we live in. As I'm pulling into the parking lot for this coffee shop today, I always put my blinker on a good 200 to 300 feet before my turn. And there's a guy, for some reason, on my ass. He's tailgating me all the way. I was having flashbacks to Phoenix. He was tailgating me all the way up to the driveway. And even though I put my turn signal on, he just laid on the horn. I have no idea why. I don't know what's going on. We got some big, beautiful black ladies coming towards me here. There we go. That's what they need. They need some more McDonald's. They just came from McDonald's. Going to get me some McDonald's. And so we need a new roof on our house. Our roof is like 20 years old. So we need a new roof, because in the Midwest, we have asphalt shingles. Most people have asphalt shingles, and you have to get it replaced every 20 to 25 years. And we have been looking for a roof now for the entire summer. So we finally find a guy. Our neighbor across the street hired a guy. and I was watching them work on a roof, and it's a company. Well, I'm trying to figure out how to say this politely, but it's a white-owned company, and they hire Hispanics to work on the roofs. Nothing against Hispanics. As I've said many times, when I lived in Arizona, the nicest, most hardworking people in Arizona were Mexican. The white folks were lazy assholes that just pretended to have money and were bitches and pricks and assholes. But the Mexicans were all doing their best just to get by, doing all the menial work that none of us white folks want to do. And we liked the Mexicans. The Mexicans were good people. So I'm watching this crew work on my neighbor's roof. Hard-working Mexican guys. And their foreman was a white guy. Don't hit my car. Please don't hit my car. Oh, my God. Oh, and he pulls through. So I was kind of impressed that the white foreman was crawling up on the roof with all the Mexicans. And I figured it was a hard-working group. They're working in this blazing hot sun. They got the roof torn off and put on all within a couple of hours. Just they did it all within a day. Get the roof done quicker than I've ever seen anybody do a roof. They did it all in a day. Usually it takes a few days. So we have been in communication with our neighbor, asking her what it was like working with this company, because we need a roofing company. And she's, oh, they're great, they're awesome, they've been just tremendous, very polite, friendly, they got the job done. So the day after they get this roof put on, a huge rainstorm comes in, and her roof leaks. And she texts my wife, says, don't hire these people. My roof, the roof over my master bedroom is leaking like a sieve. They fucked up my roof bad. And now she had to hire another company to come in and clean up the water that got into her bedroom, tear out drywall. And now she's in a war with this roofing company. Another company, this is another example of incompetence in the United States, people that can't seem to do their work. And instead of this roofing company trying to make it right, they're fighting her. They're fighting her. Even though it's 100% obvious that they dropped the ball and they screwed up her roof, they're saying their work is good. She's got something up her sleeve, though, because she's friends with the owner of the company. Her brother is friends with the owner of the company, so hopefully they're going to make it right. But I mean, you can't get a cup of coffee today. You can't get a roof put on your head. You can't mail a gun. I don't think there's a lot of people mailing guns across the country. But there's lots of people getting roofs done. There's lots of people getting cups of coffee. I mean, I've seen incompetence at every level within the last couple of months, from the medical world at the Cleveland Clinic down to the barista. And I don't know what's going on. You can't blame this on COVID anymore. You can't blame it on brainwashing. People have an apathy, a disinterest in anything anymore. And I find it so perplexing. I mean, I can't find work, though I never half-assed my job. There's never a job where I half-assed it. Never. I never went into work going, I don't feel like doing this today. Yeah, there were days I went into the call centers and I didn't feel like doing it. But I still did it. I still sat there and I grinded out, just, I don't know what's the word. I forged ahead. I grinded it out. What the hell's going on out there? I just, I go to a local gas station. The sheets where we used to get gas has been torn down. They tore down like a 20 pump gas station to remodel it, to make it bigger. So it had a bigger dining room, so more people would come and eat at Sheets. So we have to go to this crappy gas station down the street that we hate going to. And I walk in there and I go to use the pump, and the pump for some reason wouldn't work. It was a functional pump, but it wouldn't take my payment, my credit card. So I had to walk into the showroom I go into the showroom and I'm looking for an energy drink because sometimes I drink Kickstart. So I'm at the cooler looking at the energy drink, and I walk past the beer coolers, and there's a sign in every door that says, "Sorry, we're not selling beer right now. We're not selling alcohol." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." So I walk up to the cashier and I say, "How come you're not selling beer?" He goes, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We can't sell for about 10 days. Something with our license." So I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it means somebody got caught selling beer to an underage person. Usually that's what happened. They suspend the license and they do it, whoever it is, ATF, whoever investigates this stuff for alcohol and license in Ohio, caught the guy selling to probably a teenager, and they suspended their license and they're doing a review. Now, I can't say that, but why else would you not be able to sell alcohol for a while? And then the pumps at this gas station never work. They never work. If you hit the button, like if you hit regular, you've got to punch the button for regular. You've got to just punch. It doesn't matter what pump you go to. You've got to actually almost break the button to get it to come on and lock so you can actually get gas. I mean, I know I sound like the old guy screaming at the clouds, but this is getting to be re-goddamn ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, is this everywhere in the world? I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the people go into a job with a romanticized idea how they think it should be, and then when they find out it's the exact opposite and it's actually really hard work, that they give up on it, or if people are just mentally, more people honking horns, or if it's just that people just really have a whole lot of stupid they have yet to use. And to go back to the gun store, keep in mind, this is supposed to be a quick and easy transaction. I was supposed to drive to the gun store, drop off the gun, fill out the paperwork, have them check my identity, make sure I'm not a felon, pay for it, and walk out. This is going to turn into probably a 2-hour extravaganza because it didn't make any sense for me to go all the way back home and then come all the way back up here. So I stopped to get coffee. I wanted to get a coffee anyway, but isn't this strange? And this isn't. I think what happened in America is we got ahead of ourselves with the technology, and these major corporations that are money-hungry thieves decided to push technology on everybody, and everybody got lazy because of the technology. We all sit around with our phones and we're like, everything is at our fingertips. Everything, sex, money, food, drugs, anything you could want is on that phone. And the minute you make people step outside of that comfort zone and you have to go do a job, it's mentally taxing to these people. I think they're too overwhelmed by actually having to move their hands and write and think and talk. And I think technology is destroying people's minds. I think it's ruining everybody. Now you don't even have to be a musician to make a song. You just go into this one app. I can't even think of the name of the app. You put in your lyrics, you tell the app what mood you want, what style of music, what genre, tempo. It creates a song in 20 seconds. Completely, fully produced, commercially releasable song with vocalist, bass, drums, guitar, keyboard. And the only problem is you can't copyright it because you don't know where they got that song from. You have no idea if it's an original composition, but people are doing it. And they're making a fortune online by selling this crappy music. It's not even real. I just spent the last few nights writing a song called Blues Is Gonna Get You. I wrote it all myself. I play every instrument on the track except for the drums. And it's all original. I pulled it right out of the air, right out of the ether. It's all mine. and nobody will hear my stuff, but some robot creates songs now, and people that aren't even musicians, that wouldn't know, a quarter note from a football bat, are making songs. But if you told them, no, in order to make this right, you're going to learn to write your own songs, learn an instrument, they'd be like, oh my God, an instrument. Oh my God, it hurt my finger so much. Oh my God. And there's a lot of people I know that are playing with this stuff. I play with AI. I mean, if you saw my music video, Sunday Driver, 3/4 of that was made in Imagine AI. Some of the video was. Some of it I recorded in my garage with green screen. But I just did that because I was just having a fun little project, and I didn't have the time or the money or the people to bring models in to pose as an alien girlfriend, or to have other cameramen come in and shoot this. I didn't have a car that could transform into a spaceship. I didn't have the money or the technology where I didn't want to sit down on some app and manually create a car that transforms into a spaceship. But, what has your experience been? I know a lot of you are in Australia that watch me in the United Kingdom. Is it the same thing there? Is everybody's brain gone to mush? Nobody can do their jobs anymore? I mean, crap. I went to get a recall done on my wife's car, and it was for the headlight switch. They say there's a recall on my wife's headlight switch. I'm like, well, my wife's headlight switch is fine. Well, we got a recall on it, and it could break, and the lights won't come on. So I go into this damn dealership. I'm there for an hour and a half. They say, okay, we got it all fixed. I go in, I get home, broad daylight. I get in the garage and I try to turn on the headlight switch, and the headlights won't come on. They were fine before. So I call them up and say, hey, look, you broke it now. It doesn't work at all. And they're like, what? Oh my God. And are they all just passing the bottle around in these garages, these major dealerships? Are they sitting back there smoking, hitting the bong? So I go back up there and I talk to the service manager, see, did anybody quality check this before you gave me my car back to make sure it actually works? And they just looked at me like, huh? So they take the car back in. Keep in mind, I've spent, the better part of 2 days now dealing with this issue. I get the new switch on my wife's headlight switch. It's up on the tree, or up on the, I don't know, next to the steering wheel. And I try it, and it comes on, and it works. And I get home, and I go in the garage where it's dark, and I go to turn on, and then only the parking lights come on when I turn on the headlights. But it turns out that you have to jiggle the switch now to get the headlights to come on. And as it's turned out, it's worked itself out over time. Like the switch, I guess you needed to turn it on and off a few times. Now it works fine, but they didn't even quality check their work. Nobody's thought to think, hey, let's make sure this works. They just shoved me back in my car and said, see you later, because it was a recall and they're probably losing money on it. So I'm going to go mail my gun. And the gun I'm mailing is a Dan Wesson 357 with a 6-inch barrel. It's from 1981. It was my father-in-law's. And when he passed, I inherited 3 of his guns. And I'm not a gun collector. I have guns, but I'm not a gun collector. My friend Dave, who is purchasing it, is a great guy. He was in the Navy on a submarine for 26 years. And the gun's going into good hands. It's going into a guy who appreciates and admires guns and their craftsmanship. So I'm looking forward to having him have the gun and enjoy it. All right, guys, let me know what your experience has been with the incompetence around me. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be at a coffee shop, you could be at an auto mechanic, you could be at your doctor's, and nobody seems to want to do their jobs anymore. And I'm sorry, guys. Unfortunately, we live in a capitalistic society where money rules, and you have to have a job. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Let me know. Bye.